7 energy vampires every dark chosen one must avoid at all costs. Have you ever walked into a room and felt your energy drain before a single word was spoken? Have you ever left a conversation feeling like something sacred was stolen from within you, like your soul was just slightly less whole than it was before? If you've ever experienced this, you're not crazy, you're not weak, you're not broken. You're simply sensitive enough to perceive the invisible war of energy that so many ignore. And that sensitivity, that's the mark of a dark chosen one. You and I, we didn't come here for a normal life. We didn't arrive on this earth just to exist, consume, and die. We came with a blueprint etched in silence, coded in pain, and wrapped in layers of shadow. We were chosen by the darkness not because we are evil, but because we are strong enough to carry what others fear. And part of that strength is recognizing the traps, the siphons, the leeches that try to suck the life out of our divine mission. These are the energy vampires. And if we don't recognize them, if we don't avoid them at all costs, they will slowly consume us until nothing remains but a shell, wandering without purpose, disconnected from the source.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The first energy vampire, the pretender of light. This one is the most dangerous because it wears a mask so radiant, so seemingly pure, that even the most awakened among us can be fooled. This being imitates love, speaks of healing, preaches peace, but behind the scenes, it thrives on control and manipulation. They are spiritual influencers who sell enlightenment like a product. They are false mentors who demand your loyalty, but never your liberation. They are the smiling ones who drain your power by making you dependent on their light, rather than helping you ignite your own. And here's the terrifying truth. They don't even know they're doing it half the time. Their ego has convinced them that they are saving you. But in reality, they are feeding on your belief in them. They grow stronger every time you doubt yourself and turn to them instead. Ask yourself, have I ever mistaken a manipulator for a mentor? The second vampire is the emotional black hole. This one is often someone you love, a friend, a partner, a sibling. They are always in crisis, always needing you. And every time you give, they take a little more. At first, it feels good to help them. It gives you purpose, a sense of being needed. But slowly you begin to notice a pattern. No matter how much you give, they never change. They don't want healing. They want your energy. They want your attention. They want you to orbit around their suffering so they never have to face it alone. And because you're a dark chosen one, with a heart forged in pain, you attract these souls like moths to a flame. But you must remember this, your compassion is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. You can love someone without letting them consume you. You can pray for them without becoming their prisoner. This is the hardest lesson for those of us called to serve. We must know when to walk away. The third vampire is the dream killer. This one operates in subtlety. They don't drain you with chaos. No, they do it with doubt, with sideways comments, with backhanded compliments, with logical concerns about your path. You tell them about your vision, your passion, your soul's calling, and they look at you with that half smile and say, "That's nice, but are you sure it's realistic?" They wrap their fear in reason and offer it to you as a gift. But what they're really doing is projecting their limitations onto your destiny. They are terrified that you might actually become who you were born to be, because if you do, their excuses no longer hold weight. They're not evil. In fact, many of them love you. But love without awareness can still become a weapon. If you allow their doubt to take root in your mind, it will grow into self-sabotage. And the saddest part, most people never even realize they've been infected by this vampire. They live safe, small lives, never knowing that their fire was extinguished by someone else's fear. Who have you allowed to plant seeds of doubt in your garden of dreams? The fourth energy vampire is the echo chamber. This one isn't a person, it's a collective force. It's the society that tells you who you're supposed to be. It's the culture that defines success by how exhausted you are. It's the social media algorithm that rewards fake positivity and punishes raw truth. The echo chamber doesn't want your soul, it wants your compliance. It wants you to conform, to consume, to play your role quietly. And every time you scroll mindlessly, every time you edit your truth to fit the narrative, every time you silence your intuition to belong, you are feeding it. You are giving away the very thing that makes you divine, your sovereignty. The echo chamber thrives on the illusion of choice, but a dark chosen one must see beyond the veil. We must become warriors of presence. We must reclaim our time, our minds, our attention, because where attention goes, energy flows. And your energy is not infinite. You are not a machine. You are a vessel of the infinite. But even a vessel must be filled consciously. What have you been feeding your soul lately? By now, you might be feeling a strange tension within you, a sense of resonance mixed with discomfort. That's good. That's the sign that your soul is remembering something it tried to forget. The truth is, as dark chosen ones, we don't get to live easy lives. We don't get to numb ourselves with distractions. We don't get to ignore the spiritual war happening all around us because we are the ones sent here to fight it. Not with weapons, not with hate, but with presence, with clarity, with an unshakable refusal to be drained by anything that does not serve our evolution. You are not crazy for feeling tired after being around certain people. You're sensitive. You're aware. You're awake. And in a world that thrives on numbness, that is your greatest power and your greatest responsibility. These energy vampires are not just spiritual metaphors. They are real. They exist in every environment, every relationship, every digital space. And they will test you again and again to see if you're still asleep. But if you've made it this far, you're not. You're awakening. You're remembering. You're beginning to see the architecture of the unseen. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. But this is just the beginning. The hidden parasites of the soul, how darkness feeds on light. There are forces in this world that don't just seek your energy, they crave it. They don't just want your time or attention. They want your essence, your light, your spark. Because in you lives something they do not possess, something they cannot create. And when they sense it, they do not rejoice. They devour. These are not monsters with fangs or shadows creeping in the night. No, these are everyday interactions, smiles, words, glances, expectations. They are parasites of the soul, and they feed not on your weakness but your light. And the brighter you shine, the more they want to dim you. The fifth energy vampire is the guilt architect. This one is a master of emotional architecture. They don't yell. They don't demand. They build. Slowly, carefully, they construct a web of obligation so intricate, so emotionally entangled, that you don't even realize you're trapped until you try to move freely. And when you do, the guilt hits like a tidal wave. After everything I've done for you, I just thought you'd be there for me. I guess I just care more than you do. These are the bricks they use to build your cage. And the worst part, you begin to believe them. You start to question your own intentions. You start to think, maybe I am being selfish. Maybe I should give more. But here's the truth. Guilt is not love. Obligation is not devotion. Emotional debt is not spiritual connection. The guilt architect doesn't want your love, they want control disguised as vulnerability. And if you don't wake up, they will drain you through kindness, through memory, through your own sense of morality. Ask yourself this: Are you acting from love or from guilt? The sixth vampire is the mirror of your old self. This one is powerful because it doesn't come from outside, it comes from within. It's the version of you that wants to pull you back into habits, people, patterns, and paradigms that no longer serve you. This vampire whispers, remember how easy it was back then. Remember the comfort, the pleasure, the distractions. It romanticizes dysfunction. It glorifies the past. It makes you question your progress, especially when your new path gets hard, and it will get hard. Growth is chaos before its clarity. But this vampire will show up right in the midst of that discomfort, wearing the face of nostalgia, seducing you with the illusion of peace. But it's not peace. It's stagnation. It's regression. It's a trap. Because if you go back, you'll lose more than time. You'll lose alignment. Every time you betray your evolution to satisfy your past, you fracture your soul just a little more. And the more fractures you carry, the easier it is for energy vampires to seep in. What part of your old self keeps asking to come home? And why are you still answering the door? And now we arrive at the seventh and final vampire, the one that haunts even the most awakened souls. The one that wears 1,000 faces but always feels the same. It is the voice of internalized doubt. This one doesn't scream. It whispers, quietly, persistently, relentlessly. It tells you you're not enough, that you're not ready, that you're a fraud, that your darkness disqualifies your light. This voice feeds on your silence. It grows stronger every time you dim yourself to be accepted. Every time you say yes when your soul screams no. Every time you betray your own knowing to avoid confrontation. This vampire lives in the spaces where you've yet to forgive yourself. It is the echo of every time you were told you were too much, too weird, too intense, too broken. And it doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be constant. Because if it can keep you doubting your power, it never has to face it. But here's the secret they never tell you. Every energy vampire only has power when you forget who you are. When you forget that you are not just light, you are the void and the flame. You are the storm and the silence. You are chaos wrapped in balance. You are a dark chosen one, which means your path was never meant to be easy, it was meant to be sacred. You carry a frequency that threatens every false structure in the world. That's why they try to drain you. That's why they surround you. That's why they seduce you. Because you are different, and you always have been. So what do? You don't fight them with hate. You don't scream or prove or plead. No, you rise. Quietly. Decisively. You protect your energy like it is the most precious resource in the universe, because it is. You say no with grace. You walk away with love. You draw boundaries with fire. You heal not just for yourself, but for every version of you that didn't know how. You become so rooted in your power that the vampires starve in your presence. This is not a theory. This is a spiritual survival guide. And the question isn't, will you encounter these vampires? You already have. The real question is, will you recognize them for what they are? And will you choose yourself when it matters most? The inner war between light and shadow, embracing the spiritual warrior within. There comes a moment on every chosen one's path when the battlefield moves from the outer world to the inner sanctum. When the enemies are no longer people, patterns, or environments, but echoes within yourself. It is in this moment that the true war begins, not between you and others, but between who you've been and who you are becoming, between the remnants of fear and the whispers of your divinity, between the shadow and the light. And in this war, silence is not peace, it's a battleground. The battlefield is your mind. The weapons are your thoughts. And the soul is what's at stake. Many people think being a chosen one means being perfect, but that's the lie. That's the trap. Being chosen doesn't mean pure light. It means balance. It means carrying both the sword and the wound. See, the darkness chose you not to destroy you, but to purify you, to burn every illusion down until only truth remained. And that truth is not always beautiful. Sometimes it's raw, ugly, brutal. Sometimes it's the realization that you've been your own vampire, draining your future to feed your fear, that you've held on to pain like a trophy because letting it go would mean rewriting your identity. Sometimes the deepest spiritual growth comes not from adding more light, but from finally facing the shadow you've spent years avoiding. And the shadow isn't evil. It's misunderstood. It's the part of you that holds your unprocessed pain, your unspoken grief, your unmet needs. It's the scared child, the silenced artist, the abandoned lover, the enraged warrior. The shadow only becomes dangerous when ignored, when repressed, because what is denied becomes distorted, but what is embraced becomes integrated. And when you integrate your shadow, you become whole, not perfect, not saintly, whole. That's what the spiritual warrior understands. That's what the dark chosen one lives for, not to escape the darkness but utter it. Let me ask you this: what part of you have you been running from? What memory, what failure, what guilt have you buried so deep that it still echoes in your dreams? That's where the real vampire lives, not outside, inside, in the parts of you that whisper, you're not good enough, you'll never change, you don't deserve peace. These voices are not your truth, they are your trauma. And the only way to silence them is to face them, to look them in the eye and say, I see you, I won't run anymore. You might think that sounds easy from the outside, but this shadow work, it will cost you everything you thought you were. It will tear down the stories you've wrapped around your wounds. It will make you question the very foundation of your identity. You will feel lost, alone. You will grieve versions of yourself that you thought were real but were just survival mechanisms. And in that grief, you will find something extraordinary. You will find liberation. Because when you stop trying to be healed and start trying to be authentic, something magical happens. Your energy becomes clean, clear, potent. And suddenly the vampires can't feed anymore, because there's no mask to attach to, no wound to latch onto, just truth. And truth, it has no fear. You don't need to become a new person. You need to remember who you were before the world taught you to forget. You need to unlearn the lies, that your worth is tied to your productivity, that your love must be earned, that your pain disqualifies your power. You are not broken, you are becoming. And every scar you carry is a testament to your survival. Every tear you've shed is a baptism. Every breakdown you've endured is a sacred initiation. The world may not recognize your strength, but your soul does. And it's been waiting for you to remember. Because this isn't just about protecting your energy from others. This is about reclaiming the parts of yourself you gave away to survive, the dreams you let die for acceptance, the rage you swallowed to keep the peace, the intuition you silenced to be loved. You don't have to live like that anymore. You don't have to carry the weight of who you used to be. You can choose right now to become sovereign, to become sacred, to become whole. And when you do, the game changes. You stop attracting vampires. You start attracting visionaries, healers, warriors, mirrors of your evolution. Your energy becomes a frequency not everyone can access, but the right ones will recognize. You become magnetic, not because you're pretending to be light, but because you've integrated the dark. You've become something rare, something real, a spiritual warrior in a world of illusion. So now I ask you again, but deeper this time, what have you refused to face within yourself? And what would happen if you finally did? The sacred exit, walking away without losing yourself. There comes a time in every dark chosen one's journey when staying becomes more dangerous than leaving, when the cost of keeping the peace becomes the death of your spirit, when the quiet ache inside you grows loud enough to shatter even the strongest illusions. That moment is sacred, because it's the beginning of your exit, not just from people or places, but from patterns, from lifetimes of self-abandonment, from the cages you once called home. But walking away doesn't mean running. It doesn't mean burning bridges in rage or vengeance. It's not about proving anyone wrong. The sacred exit is a ceremony, a declaration, a return. To reclaim your energy, you must first reclaim your right to leave anything that drains your soul. And this is where so many of us falter. Because the guilt, the conditioning, the fear, they all rise to the surface the moment we consider choosing ourselves. What if they think I'm selfish? What if I hurt them? What if I'm wrong? But here's the truth. Every time you stay where your soul doesn't belong, you abandon yourself a little more. And self-abandonment is the ultimate energy leak. It is the silent vampire that no one talks about, the one that lives in your choices, not your surroundings. You don't need a dramatic reason to leave. You don't need to justify your exhaustion. If your nervous system tightens every time you're around someone, if your light dims in their presence, if your dreams shrink in their shadow, that's reason enough. Your body is your oracle, your intuition is your compass, and your peace is the proof. The sacred exit is about finally trusting that. It's about understanding that not everyone who walks with you is meant to walk forever. Some people were lessons, mirrors, initiations. Some were contracts you've now completed, and that's okay. Growth doesn't require you to hate them, only to honor yourself. But here's where the real mastery begins. Can you leave with love? Can you exit without resentment? Can you walk away with your heart open, knowing that your path simply no longer aligns with theirs? That's the work of a spiritual warrior, not just to cut cords, but to do it cleanly, with reverence, with clarity, with grace. Because if you leave in chaos, the residue stays. The karma lingers. The energy loops back. But when you leave in alignment, you free not just yourself, but them. You break the cycle, you end the contract, you complete the story. And once you've made the sacred exit, something remarkable happens. Your energy begins to return. Slowly at first. Then, all at once, you start to feel again. Breathe again. Dream again. You begin to remember who you were before the world taught you to forget. And with that memory comes power. Not the kind that dominates, but the kind that radiates, quiet, certain, unshakable. The kind of power that doesn't need validation because it is the validation. But don't expect everyone to understand. They won't. Some will call you cold. Others will try guilt. Some will beg you to return. But you must stand firm. Because the moment you walk away, the moment you choose yourself, you awaken something terrifying in others, their own awareness. Your departure becomes their mirror, and not all are ready to look. You are not responsible for their readiness. You are only responsible for your truth. So now I ask you, with everything we've uncovered, where in your life is your soul asking you to walk away? And what would it look like to honor that request, not later, but now? This is not the end. This is the beginning of your return to your energy, your essence, your divine assignment. You've faced the vampires. You've touched the shadow. You've remembered your light. And now you walk forward, not to escape, but to reclaim. Your energy is sacred. Guard it like your life depends on it, because in every way that truly matters, it does.